So usually when I stream on Twitch, a lot of people ask me the same question, and the question is, do I think Game Freak is going to put every single region into one Pokemon game, or do I want Game Freak to do something like that? And I give the same answer each and every time. No, I don't want Game Freak to do that. I don't see the point for Game Freak. I don't see the point in doing that, to be completely honest, and this video is basically gonna just outline why I think Game Freak is not gonna do that and why Game Freak probably wouldn't do that in the first place. So number one thing that I wouldn't say this is number one, but one reason why I don't think Game Freak is going to do this is because it will make the Pokemon game way too long, okay? You guys already know the drill. When it comes to Pokemon, you collect the badges, you battle the evil organization, you battle Elite Four, Champion. There might be some active game stuff. If there is, then that's great. If there's not, whatever. But usually that is how it goes, and you can honestly beat a Pokemon game in a day if you actually try. 2 days, maybe a week or so, you know? But if we're sitting here playing through a game that has 6 regions in it, that game is going to take forever to beat. And when it comes to the target demographic of the games, which are usually children, children's attention spans are not that long. So especially when it comes to Pokemon, you don't want to sit here and stretch a game to 6 regions, because that's going to make the game impossibly long, and the children are probably going to stop playing by the time they hit Generation 3 with the Hoenn region, and a lot of older players will probably end up not even playing the game all the way through because it's going to take forever to beat. You know, it's just going to take forever to beat. So I don't think Game Freak would do something like that, just because it will be an extra long game, and we don't want that. Nobody wants that. Another reason why I don't think Game Freak is going to do that is because it'll get repetitive. Now, yes, Pokemon has this formula of you battle, like I said, you battle the gym leaders, Elite Four, Champion, evil organization, rival, yada yada yada. That's pretty much all Pokemon is. And you know, I like that about Pokemon. I'm perfectly fine with that. But if you have that 6 times in a single game, not different games with different graphics, but the same game with the same graphics, it gets repetitive, it gets old, and people will drop the game because they are bored with it, and they're bored of the repetitiveness, and they hate it because of the repetitiveness, and it would just look bad on Game Freak to do something like that. Like, I don't see how I wouldn't want to do it either. I wouldn't want to play, because by the time I hit Hoenn, I'll just be like, that's it. It's just boring to me. So I would probably end up dropping the game, and then I'll pick it back up like a month later. But that's pretty much it, you know. It'll just get really repetitive. One other reason why I don't think Game Freak would do it is because if you really think about it, let's take Gold and Silver for example, because those are probably the best games to use as an example, because they have 2 regions in them. They have Kanto and Johto. Now, when it comes to those games, by the time you hit Kanto and by the time you complete Kanto, you're pretty much in your 80s. You know, by the time you face Red at Mount Silver, you're in your 80s in terms of levels. Let's just think about having 6 regions in a game. They would have to skew the levels so low to the point where we won't be level 80 or 90 by the time we hit Hoenn. So it's like, how would Game Freak compensate for that? How would they do that? They would either have to raise the level limit past level 100, which that's not going to happen because that's staple. That's just tradition. That's a formula. That's not going to change. Or they would have to make it to where each time you enter a new region, you would have to basically start the game over. And you would have to ditch your old Pokemon and catch new Pokemon. And you wouldn't be able to use your old Pokemon in that region until you complete that region. For example, let's say I complete Kanto and I move on to Johto. I can't use any of my Kanto Pokemon that I caught in Johto until I beat Johto. But then it's like, what's the point? I'm never going to go back to Johto, so all these Kanto Pokemon are never going to be used ever again. You know, because like, there's no reason for me to go back to the entire region of Johto. There's just no reason. I just don't see that happening. Not only that, but doing that 6 times, like I said, gets repetitive, and it's 6 times in a single game. Different games, perfectly fine. Separate games, perfectly fine. All in the same game? No, that just gets really repetitive, and I don't think that would happen. And probably the biggest reason why I don't think Game Freak would do it is because of money. Now, as much as people don't want to think about it, and I know people really don't want to think about it, you got to understand that Game Freak is a business. I mean, they are a company. They want money. And I honestly feel like they will lose out on a lot of money and potential sales if they smash all the regions into one game. Why? Because let's just take, for example, Pokemon X and Y. I don't know. Let's just take that for example. Now, we know that Game Freak usually puts out 3 to 4 games per generation. You know, there were 4 games in Generation 1, being Red, Blue, Yellow, Green. There were 3 in Gen 2, 3, 4. Gen 5 had 4 games, and Gen 6 will probably either have 3 to 4 games as well. So let's take this. Let's take the Pokemon fan who ends up buying, you know, all the games. So let's take me for example. Let's take me, and let's just clone me 4 times, right? Let's just clone myself 4 times. So I bought X, I bought Y. If they have a 3rd game, which they probably will, I will buy the 3rd game as well. So I buy all 3 games. And if I clone myself 4 times, 3 games, 4 people, that's 12 games Game Freak has sold. And that's just from one generation. If we add up all the generations, that is so many games sold just from one person. But if they smashed all the regions together into one game and you have 4 people, they only sold 4 games. And granted, yes, you know, the fan base is really large for Game Freak, but at the end of the day, they will make more money if they just keep the regions separated and they just sold, like, you know, 3 to 4 games per generation. They will make way more money than if they smash them all together into one region. Going back to, you know, how long the game is and like how much content will be in the game, that would be a really large game that I don't even think a Nintendo DS would even be able to support. You know, like I don't even think a DS or a 3DS for that matter, or a new 3DS would even be able to support a big game like that. And I don't even think you can do it as DLC either, considering that will be pretty large DLC as well, because that's putting in an entire region into a game. So I don't think Game Freak would do it because it would make a long game. It would make a really long game. It would end up being super duper repetitive because it's all in one game. They can't skew the levels down low enough. They can't change the level cap from 100 and make it higher. They make more money making all the regions separate anyway. They have to you know, they have to hit the target audience, and the target audience are kids, and Pokemon has that perfect length when it comes to games. They have that perfect length, and they have a lot of after game stuff as well, but I honestly just don't think that Game Freak should put all the regions in the one game, and I just don't think so. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!